when it collapsed, and the Japanese government has a specialist search and rescue team working on that site specifically. But the New Zealand rescuers have moved on to other places where they think there is still a little more chance they may find survivors. But nobody has been pulled out alive from the rubble here in Christchurch since Wednesday afternoon. It's almost then 24 hours now since any survivors were pulled out from here. The Prime Minister has been commenting again on the situation here. He's also sent some of his ministers, and the Police Minister gave a press conference where she was talking about bodies she saw being pulled from buildings. But a desperate situation as the death toll looks certain to rise.
Libya's generating a lot of action on the internet right now. Emma Kay has the latest from our web desk. Emma Kay.
Yes, well, so if you're somewhat confused about which areas are under the control of anti-government protesters and which are not, well, this map on yfrog.com was drawn up using sources from the internet. It attempts to pinpoint the areas that have fallen, not able to verify how accurate it is, but I would like to explain a bit about the Libyan flag, about the flags. The Libyan one is green, has been used since 1977, but the flag adopted by the opposition crowds is red, black and green. In the top right-hand corner of the map is the city of Derna, apparently no longer under Gaddafi's control. Well, the reason we singled out that city is because of pictures posted on Wednesday claiming to be from Derna. A group of women holding the so-called liberation flag protesting at the yard of an old mosque. They're chanting anti-Gaddafi slogans. This next one shows an elderly woman in the city of Benghazi, also in the east. She's apparently saying, "God willing, we will always be victorious." And a very angry man who, according to the YouTube clip, is a diplomat at the Libyan embassy in Morocco. After shouting that Libya's leader is a child killer, he takes his anger out on the photograph of Gaddafi as his colleagues watch. And these are said to be Tunisians spelling out the words, "Free Libya." More to come, back to So.
Thanks very much, Emma Kay. Of course, we'll be back to you throughout the day for more from the web desk. Now, US diplomatic cables leaked by WikiLeaks have painted a picture of lavish spending by Muammar Gaddafi's, quote, famously fractious family. Let's return to Shihab in Washington for more on that story.
Thanks, Sahel. The cables also allege an escalating rivalry between his sons in recent years. Gaddafi's fourth eldest son and national security advisor, Mutassim, allegedly held multi-million-dollar New Year's parties in the Caribbean, hiring singers such as Mariah Carey, Beyoncé and Usher. Another son, Hannibal, fled London after being accused of physically abusing his wife. Earlier, he'd been arrested in Geneva after allegedly beating his servants, an event which led to a serious diplomatic incident with Switzerland. Referring to the third eldest son, the cables say the, quote, notoriously ill-behaved Saadi has a troubled past, including scuffles with police in Europe, abuse of drugs and alcohol, and excessive partying. The cables say much of the tension US diplomats felt was underway within the family. They say it seems prompted by sibling resentment of second eldest son, Saif al-Islam's high profile as the public face of the regime. Joining us live from San Antonio in Texas is Mansour Al-Kikia from the University of Texas. He's the author of the book Libya's Gaddafi, The Politics of Contradiction. Professor, do you think this rivalry will have any significance as their father's hold over power seems to disintegrate?
No, I don't really think so. And I think it's overblown, this whole rivalry between the siblings. You know, rivalry takes place much of the time when there is need. When you give one something you don't give to the other. But there's no need for those, for any of them. The Libyan treasury is open to them to do what they want to do. So you talk about one holding a party in the Caribbean, another one holding a party in Rome, a third one holding a party elsewhere. They have private jets they can fly about wherever they want to go. There is no accountability to what, how much, and where they spend. So I think it's a little bit overblown. I think the father himself, I mean, if there is a rivalry, it has never really been made public. Maybe internally there is a rivalry, but we don't really know about that. But it seems to be a bit far-fetched, because as I said, everyone has enough to do with whatever they want to do. El Saadi have spent millions of dollars on the Juventus in Italy and in his football career. Saif al-Islam has the 919 company, which is able to spend 900 million euros. The other guy heads the army, and he can buy arms and he can do anything he wants to do. So I don't think really there's that rivalry. Even the daughter Aisha, she has her own little gig going on with the Aisha Foundation, and there's no limit to how much money she can spend. She can bring Lionel Richie, she can bring anyone she wants to bring. I think it's a bit overblown.
Right,
don't overblow that.
Beyond the gossipy nature of some of this sort of information, I suppose what people are wondering is whether anyone in the inner circle might be in a position to tell Colonel Gaddafi at some point, look, it's over, it's time to step down before anyone else gets killed needlessly.
No, I don't think they can. I really don't think there's one to tell him that, because even if they do tell him that, they won't listen. And don't forget that even the points that Saif al-Islam made in the first speech, he made those earlier. Those same points were made earlier to his father. I mean, if you think about it, the Gaddafi administration was in the axis of evil initially, and it was Saif al-Islam who actually convinced his father to give the Americans something so that they will not attack him or remove him from power. And the cost was, of course, the Lockerbie settlement, which they paid $2.3 billion. But that was not enough. They needed to add a little bit more, and so they put in the weapons of mass destruction, and that was really Saif's influence on the father. But when Saif tried to go a little bit further and tell his father, "Listen, father, open up.
Professor,
we're making enemies of our own people," no, the father wouldn't listen.
I'm so sorry I have to stop you there, Professor. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
It's been more than 20 years now since Pan Am Flight 103 blew over Lockerbie, Scotland, killing 270 people. Libyan Abdel Basset al-Megrahi was convicted of the attack, but on Wednesday a former Libyan minister reportedly accused Muammar Gaddafi of personally ordering the bombing. That's a view shared by Rabbi Stephanie Bernstein, whose husband was killed at Lockerbie. This is her story, in her own words.
My name is Stephanie Bernstein. I'm a rabbi, and my husband Michael was killed in the bombing of Pan Am 103 in 1988. It leaves a big hole in your heart that, that never goes away. My husband was an attorney who worked for the U.S. government, and he worked for an office that hunted Nazis who entered this country illegally after the war. What we heard from the former justice minister is that he, the former minister, has evidence that Gaddafi ordered the bombing and that he was very anxious to get Megrahi back to keep him quiet. And this is exactly what we had been saying. Libya is a police state. We know that. Nothing happens there without Gaddafi's approval. We've been told by my government, by the British government, by business interests, somehow becoming closer to him will reform him, will change him. And I think what the last several days, the last week has shown us is that this is not true. This is absolutely not true. He will stop at nothing. He will kill children. He will kill his own citizens. He doesn't care. I understand that it has to do with oil, but we have to say at some point, there's some things that are more important than that. Gaddafi is responsible for so many murders that we can't even count. The world should hold him accountable. Will the world hold him accountable? I don't know. Will the world hold the other people